One of the practices advocated by Dr. Glasser is the use of class meetings. In Glasser Quality Schools, class meetings are used to achieve a number of different goals. Perhaps the foremost goal it can help achieve is building relationships and creating a respectful, caring classroom atmosphere. In Dr. Glasser's class meetings, the teacher's role is that of a non-judgmental facilitator. All students are encouraged to participate, and all comments are accepted. In inclusive classrooms, these meetings can be used to teach and reinforce social and communication skills. Because participation by all students is both welcomed and encouraged, these meetings foster an atmosphere of acceptance and respect that is very important in classrooms that include students with physical, emotional, or intellectual challenges. Teacher modeling is widely accepted as an appropriate technique for teaching special needs students. In the lesson for this class, we traveled to Clarinda High School in Iowa for a visit to the communications class of Mr. Ken Bolster. Mr. Bolster starts each of his periods with a class meeting. As you will see, one of the skills that he models and encourages in his students is that of listening.
As I started to say, today we're going to work on several items that need to be done that we didn't really do yesterday, okay? It's all on the whiteboard, so I'll refer to that in a second, but let's go ahead and start with normal process in class, okay? What you're going to find is one of the first things that comes out of my mouth after I take roll is, what do you want to talk about? So that's the question. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to have anything to do with school. If there's something you want to talk about, we're going to talk about it. Now, while you're thinking for a second, you need to understand that obviously we want some decent conversation, like we don't want to talk about the weather for 30 minutes. That's crazy, you know? But if there's something coming up around school or something going on in somebody's life or whatever, not that we're here for gossip, but you know, to go big, maybe you've got something you want to say about the war in Iraq. And that's a good time to talk about it. The idea is everybody talk, one person at a time, I'm hoping, and everybody's going to jump in, and it's good conversation. Some people will talk and some people won't. So we can try this, and you'll get better at it as we go along, I think. Once we come to a point where you've got a speech due, you're going to be really good at this. When I say, what do you want to talk about? It'll be like, come up with something because I don't want to do a speech today, so keep talking. The conversation's good. It lasts all period, and it has. Starting the class or a class period with free discussion, students sharing whatever might be on their minds, to me is a great way to, first of all, I think, let the kids know it's okay to say what's on their mind. I think too many times they're marched from class to class and it's sit down, shut up, take out your notes, etc., like we're all used to. And some classes have to be that way. But I think at least one time along the way the kids need to be able to come in and just feel like, if you will, they're in their living room. Nobody's going to judge them. They can say what's on their mind. We can explore, listen, and react, and obviously it fits communication to a T. I think another good thing about that is probably more than any other activity, it lets me get to know that kid. Now I can search and find out, you know, all the little past history and what their scores are and what they've done and discipline reports and all that. I can meet their parents, but nothing really does it unless that kid opens up and says, here's who I am. And if I can start the class that way, chances are they're going to feel more comfortable, not only in that space, but with me as a part of the learning process. And if I'm there with them and they know they can trust me to say what's on their mind or listen to them if they need somebody to listen to them, then, you know, it should be a positive feeling that just helps the learning. Anything that's positive is probably going to help the learning. It's communication class, folks. So, anything on your mind? If not, we'll just go right ahead. No?
National Honor Society.
What about it?
Like, last year there was lots of people that made it, and this year, like, people are complaining because only like a few people made it.
I haven't heard.
You don't know
Yeah.
anything?
No, I haven't heard about who made it or anything, but there's some concern that way.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that? As far as National Honor Society, does that even cross your mind? Some of you, I'll bet it does, right? Some of you? Yeah? Don't be afraid to admit it. National Honor Society, anything to say about it? Okay. No, that's okay. No, I mean, like, that's something that, you know, you've become aware of, and it's like you've heard people talking about it, so, and it'll affect you eventually, but maybe not this year, right? Okay, anything else? Keep in mind, as soon as you say, no, that's it, we're going back to the whiteboard and we do classroom stuff. Okay? Anything you want to do?
Talk about the wrestlers.
What about the wrestlers?
6 of them made it to state, didn't they?
Yes, they did, Michael.
That's good.
Yes, that's good. Michael's helping the conversation. Okay. Yeah, the wrestlers are gone. Hopefully they'll do well. Any of you guys going up for the weekend to see them? You might? Okay.
What is it?
Well, it's this weekend. I think they start wrestling
6:30 tonight.
tonight. Yeah, they start tonight wrestling. Yeah. Anything else?
There's a bowling tournament coming up this next month.
That's good. Are you a bowler?
Yes.
Must be. The special ed kids or resource level kids or kids that just have some learning problems, if they can just talk about it and express, if they can tell me what they want to put into, say, a speech, then together we can probably write it down. But if they can just express it verbally, then chances are they're on their way to feeling, okay, I can do this, I can talk, I'm just as good as that guy because I can speak better or as good as he can. So again, if that verbal process comes through, then not only does it help them within the class, but chances are that contributes to their success once they're out of here. If they can't talk to somebody when they leave here and say what's on their mind, then I think that's a big inhibitor for them. We can give them lots of skills, but one of the best skills is them to know how to feel okay to say what's on their mind and express their ideas. I don't know anything about him.
She's gonna pick him up.
You guys are not gonna go get him. He's gonna stay for the Vikings, buddy.
Is this a sports thing?
Hey, yes.
Is this a sports thing?
I guess.
Okay, we're done. We're done. Okay, I want to tell you though, even though as we go through the processes I want you to cover today and understand, along the way, if there's something that's like, hey, I just thought of something, let's talk about it, okay? It's communication, folks, so get used to opening up and saying what's on your mind. You can only look foolish, and who cares, right? You know, better to do that here before you go out in the real world and try to do it. I need you to start with what's going to happen normally, and that's notebooks. We talked yesterday, I believe, about how I need a notebook for this class, or a binder, or whatever you want to use. Whatever you've got for this class, would you get it out right now and turn to the first clean sheet you got. If you don't have a notebook for this class as of yet, since it's only the second day, get on top of it, please. And for today, borrow a sheet of paper if you have to, but you're going to need to do a little writing right quick, all right? You need to write down this quote. The quote is, like a 10-speed bike, most of us have gears we do not use. So you write down those words, and I would also like you to please write down who said the quote. Include that as well. Once you've written down that quote, the next move is for each of you, and again, you do this as soon as the class starts. As soon as you come into class, don't wait for the bell. Get everything out and ready to go. You write down the quote, then I would like you to take 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, and would you please respond to that in writing? Maybe 2 or 3 sentences. Tell me what you think it means, or I don't care for this quote, I don't relate to it. It's just as honest thoughts about it. Or you might say, Charles Schulz. I've heard that name, don't know who he is. So I'm going to ask who Charles Schulz is. Maybe we'll know. As far as his quote, I think it's probably true because, this is just free writing. It's not going to be judged. The only thing I will be judging is did you do it? Because every day now, I want a page in your notebook devoted to that particular day in class. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes now where I'll just shut up. Go ahead and write down the quote and any comments about it. One last element, the why. We're doing this for lots of different reasons. One would be good quotes can come in handy, especially for a speech presentation. I've promoted this discussion thing I want you to do. Sometimes when there's no discussion, this will go for a while. So give it a couple minutes of free thought, jot down your thoughts, and then we'll continue. Yeah, it could be what it means. You might say, I like this because I don't think people use all that they're given as far, Yeah, your thoughts, your opinion, your reaction. There's really no certain thing that has to be written. It's just what hits you. Anything free-flowing thoughts, 2 or 3, 4 sentences, whatever. It doesn't need to be a long piece. I'm going to squeeze through by. Okay. What I would suggest is that you take a look and say, right, so don't write for a second, just tell me. What would you say about this? If you were just talking to me.
About that?
Yeah, about the quote. If I said, I don't get this, what's it mean? What might you say?
It's a bike.
It's a bike, yeah. What else?
10-speed bike.
Yeah, okay, I can read. What else? What else? Do you think this is true?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you don't normally use the gears.
Are there gears that you've got that you don't use?
Yeah.
Like what? Like what might be something you just don't really do?
Just Saturday or anything or bike.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, something that's like maybe you got the ability, but you just don't do it. Writing?
Right.
You know how to write, correct?
Yeah.
But you don't like it. You don't write very much.
School.
And okay, there you go. Exactly. Okay, so does that fit? See how that fits a quote?
Yeah.
You may not do much in school. You may not like it. You may not write. But it fits the quote because there's some speeds I got I don't even use. But I wonder what would happen if you did. There's the lesson of the quote. Make sense?
Sure.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Okay. So jot down if you, well, you can tell me in just a second. I'll bet it does. Okay, that's plenty of time. You okay? If you're still writing down some thoughts, please continue. Nothing wrong with that. Did you have a question or you just, no? Okay, so. What'd you think? What'd you write?
I think honestly that what he was trying to say is that people don't like put their minds in like a higher gear because they don't like to think have to think as hard as hard.
Excellent. Good job. Yeah. That's all this is. Now, somebody can take it and run with that, or maybe say, okay, what I think is, and I know it sounds a little cheesy, but eventually this becomes very natural. I'm forcing you into it, so just relax and try it. What else? What do you think?
I think it's saying, like, everybody's given talents they have, and like most of us don't use all the talents that we've got. Like I was thinking, for example, I'm a pretty good baseball player, but I didn't go out for, not to brag or
No, it's
anything,
okay. That's all right.
but I didn't go out for baseball in high school because I wanted to get ready for football.
Yeah.
So I just used that time to like run and lift.
Right. So you have, or somebody could have, a talent for baseball, but they decide not to use that talent because they've made another decision, correct? Now, here's my question back to you. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Both, I guess.
Well, how about you make up your mind? Which one is it? What do you think?
I'd say it's a good thing because you're focusing on a sport that you like better than the sport you could have went out for.
Exactly. You decided to make a choice.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like you are great at baseball, but you decided to go out and hang out and smoke cigarettes and drink beer, right? Yeah, you decided, I'm going to do it this way, even though I'm not going out for baseball. Cool. More. Give me more.
I put that you might know some things that you can do, but you might just be too scared to tell people that you can do it, or you might not want to put the effort in.
Yeah. Why? And that's really the big question. Even with what you said about, people are given all these talents, but they don't always use them. Somebody said that. I don't know if you said that. Somebody said, right? So, actually, Charles Schulz, you know who Charles Schulz is?
The Peanuts dude.
The Peanuts guy. He wrote the Peanuts comic strips and all the Peanuts TV specials and all that. Yeah, Charles Schulz. He died just a couple years ago, I think. 2 or 3 years ago. Great guy. Okay. And that's how the quote works. Now, if we wanted to, that quote discussion could go on another 20, 30 minutes if you want to. I mean, if it's good conversation, because it's communication class, guys. On the other hand, I think we're pretty much done with this and we can move on. The ability to listen to students and not just act like you're listening to them, again, is a vital aspect. I mean, if you think about it, it's just speaking and listening. That's really all learning is. Throwing in some questions along the way helps. But really hearing what they're saying. I think a lot of times teachers will attempt to listen to kids because they nod their head and they give them a chance to talk and they just kind of wait until they're done so they can continue with whatever it is their agenda consists of. And I think if you just step back and say, what do you guys need? And listen to that, they'll direct the class. One thing that I did today, and I can't do this every day, but it certainly works for an early class period in the term, is the students had gone through this chapter and they found answers that were right in the book. They just had to find them. Well, rather than talking about that from my point of view for the next class period, put your books away. You got the answers. Now talk to me about those answers. And that way I can assess, do you understand the communication model? Well, I don't know if they've got it if I look on their paper and they've written down 4 words. But if they talk to me about the communication model, give me examples of it, if they tell me why they're feeling or thinking, what's that answer mean? Why does that answer have to even be there? Then if I listen to them, I'll know if they're getting the reading material. I'll know if they've got frustrations with what they should be learning. But just by listening, you can probably do what a doctor does, and that's diagnose and prescribe. What's going to make a difference in your life more than anything else? Well, thanks for saying communication, but feedback. I believe it's communication. I have to. Now, some people would say music, some people would say my job, but let's put it this way. Name a career where you don't have to worry about speaking and you don't have to worry about listening. Name one career.
Factory.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Factory.
You think?
I don't know.
Well, see, I don't know. I've never really had a factory job, but let's think about it. Gonna have to talk to, now you may be right there on the machine by yourself a lot of the time. But is he gonna survive or get promoted or move on in his career without speaking or listening? Obviously not. But it's a pretty good example, okay? This one got us going quite a bit, and I wanna see how you guys react to it as well. I'll just first of all try a statement. See if you agree or disagree. Just let me know verbally if you want, or nod your heads, or... Students should be paid to receive grades.
No. It'd be nice, but no.
No.
Then you're not working to actually learn something.
Well,
You're just working to get the money.
Yeah.
Like you won't.
and that's a problem?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you won't try to learn. All you'll do
Cheat?
is just like
Yeah, but
Cheat.
get
there
the
you
good
go.
grade. Like you'll do anything to just get the good
Just
grade.
get the grade so I can have the bucks. Doesn't matter what I learn, give me the money. Try this one. If you could be any age, what would you like to be?
21.
Why 21? Why 21? That's the magic number. Why? 17?
You're of age.
You're
21,
you're of
you
legal
can
age.
you can go to more social events. Like
Yeah.
you can go to clubs.
So you can go to more social events at 21.
Yeah.
All right. Let me check with you guys that are hung up on this 21, and I think even if you're not speaking about it right now, you might understand that you'd agree. The social events, Drew, that are that you want to be 21 for. You haven't waited until you were 21, have you?
Well, there's places like you can't get in. You can't get into like a club.
I
or,
didn't
like,
talk about getting into anything, Drew. Shall we get honest? Shall we be honest in the room? Let's get honest. Okay. I never would insult you, but I'm going to be honest with you.
All right.
Have you done what we're talking about and you're not 21?
Yeah.
Okay.
Has
Okay.
it?
And nobody's going to condemn him for that, right? I mean, read the papers.
Can I ask everybody a question?
No, I don't know. Do I have to answer it?
How many people in this room has actually drank before they turned 21? Raise your hand.
That's all of you guys. That's all of you. How many? Everybody? Before I was 21? I did. Before I was 21. I think once in a while you just got to step back and say, what makes me tick? You're going to do a good job in this class as far as presentations, creating ideas and stuff if you're just true to yourself and you get honest, okay? Don't try to be something you're not, because chances are we all know, right? I mean, some of you have tried that. Haven't you? Somewhere along middle school age, it was like, ooh, I think I want to be like those guys, and you change everything. It's like, that didn't fit. So be true to what's going on and follow through with some of these big ideas that we're talking about. For special needs students, they need somebody to listen to them. Sometimes that's the only thing they need that's going to take them to whatever level they need to be at to maybe not even be referred to as a special needs kid. But I got to also say that I really think that if you listen to the students, you kind of forget the fact that there's special needs kids in the room, which to me is the whole process. It doesn't matter what your reading skill is. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does. But it doesn't matter if you're a resource student, if you're a special ed student, if you're a science student, if you're an artist student. You know, once you come into this room, and if we have an agenda within that particular class, these are the elements we must cover. If you listen to people and motivate them in a way to do the job, it doesn't matter what level you're at. Everybody has their own needs to get to a level that you want them to be at. But I guess what I'm saying is, there's been times I don't know which kids in my class are special needs unless I look it up or unless I have evidence that tells me they're special needs students. And most of the time the evidence I get isn't from the student. It's from the paperwork and from other teachers. So if you just work with the kid and listen to him, you may not even recognize him as a special needs kid. And if you're a special needs kid, how does that make you feel?